It is July 29th, 2020. This is Atlanta United FC Weekly, a Home Before Dark podcast. I already cracked mine open. I am Tim Herb, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. Kevin Bradley, this way, to my right. And
good evening, gents.
Right, to his right, we have Daniel James, a rare back-to-back appearance.
Back-to-back.
By the man, the myth, the legend.
Just
He's
like
real.
Back-to-back, no goals.
You forgot the third back. Back-to-back-to-back.
That's well, actually, it's back-to-back-to-back-to-back. If you count Club America.
I don't know. Does that count anymore? What happens?
Yeah.
Are they going to unsuspend and resume? I guess resume is the right word. That. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us on this impromptu Wednesday night. We are without games now again. We have MLS games, but we don't have Atlanta United games. But yeah, it's a hell of a time.
We have a really fun show for you guys tonight. We're opening it up for everybody to join in. If you would like to join the broadcast tonight, shoot us an email. You can do that at show@gethomebeforedark.com, or you can shoot us a DM on Twitter, and we will share the StreamYard link with you, and you can jump in and hang out with us. And we got a lot to talk about tonight. So boat's been rocked, so to speak, in Atlanta United front office, back office, front of house, front yard, backyard, all over the place. So if you guys want to jump in, talk with us. We got a couple of DMs over the weekend. We had mentioned it. A couple people that aren't going to be able to make it. But again, if you're interested, just shoot us an email. That's at show@gethomebeforedark.com. And I will be manning the inbox tonight, and I will grant access to anybody that wants to join. So,
yeah. Brian Daniels left a comment about 40 minutes before we started recording. He said this show better be fucking epic. So I'm having to cut short a bunch of nerd conspiracy theory BS in order to commune with quote unquote entitled fans of a flash in the pan team. Just kind of setting the tone tonight.
Wow.
Yeah. If you guys are listening to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, what have you, leave us a rating and or a review. As always, we will read it live on the show whenever we get them, whatever it says, no matter the stars.
And if you don't have a webcam, that's okay. You can join with just audio, I believe. I don't think you need to have a camera. So it's up to you. Again, it's at show@gethomebeforedark.com.
So can I ask you guys a question? Well, I'm going to anyway. I don't know why I'm asking.
Yeah, why ask permission?
So when there's been a lot of different reactions to Frank being let go or mutually released or whatever, what was your initial gut reaction when you heard the news?
I don't like it, and I still don't like it. My reaction has not changed. I think I can rationalize it a little bit more now, but my gut reaction was I don't like the decision based on the precedent it sets. I've never been a fan of the coaching carousel culture, like that you have a coach in, whether it's in college football or any other sport, that you have them in for, and they mess up for a string of, a half dozen games or whatever it is. And it's like, they're gone. I mean, it's an unrealistic expectation, and even more so considering the environment that the league and the world is in right now. That was my knee-jerk reaction. Tim?
No, it's the same. I can't say that. So it was weird. I think, like you said, Dan, the question is initial gut reaction, and my initial gut reaction was yikes. Like, that's really it. I mean, I was not happy with it just because, and I want to say it was Bill Holcomb, Trap Star Regular, that put it pretty eloquently the other night about whenever people were calling for Frank's head. It's like, now is not the time to make a decision like that, just because there's nothing genuine to really base it off of in terms of performance or like games that really matter. But I don't know. The more I've thought about it, like it sounds really weird, but the less attached I am to it. Like the more I have this mindset now of like, he's not a part of the team. Let's get to the point where we're not talking about him anymore. Like, thank him for what he did, which was in his first season, take us to Eastern Conference Championship and
Campeones Cup and Open Cup.
And lose to a goal that Nick DeLeon's never going to score again, even on a training ground. And it is what it is. What about you, Dan? What was your initial reaction? Because you were the one that sent us the group text, and I think I was on a conference call. I was like, what the?
So I have not been on the FDB out train at all. I would like to give people the benefit of the doubt. But when I heard the news, I was like, oh shit. I'm actually kind of excited about it. I push back on the coaching carousel because it's just one incident of it happening. If there was like a couple, like if you look at Birmingham City, and that is like a hot seat of just trash that's happening. But I remember I was having a conversation with one of my friends at work, and he said, and I think FDB should be looked at, his tenure should be looked at as a success, because I believe it was, because we won trophies, and that's what we're here to do. That's what the club's there for. But it wasn't the exciting, attacking flair that we were used to under Tata. Now, I think it was a level of trying to mature that and to become a better team, but I don't think Frank ever really reached its pinnacle of where it was going to be that. So I was excited to hopefully get back to something that's very exciting. Like when I mentioned last week, as soon as Almiron got the ball, you got like a butterflies in your stomach just to see him flying up there. But I was excited. I was like, I really want this run and gun product to watch and so that's how I was.
Kevin, we got when do you want to let Pierce into the mix?
If people are queued up,
Pierce is on he's sitting. You want me to add him to the stream?
Yeah, people are queued up, we can start bringing them in.
Pierce.
Hey, what's up,
Pierce? How are you? Long time no see.
Back.
How you doing, man?
Finally.
Good to have you in here.
Yeah. No, I agree with what Dan was just saying about Frank. I think it's tough right now, especially in the fan base. You're like, was he a success? Was he not? But I think technically he was, but only in title only. I mean, we won 2 championships, but like no one can say the style of soccer we were playing in 2019 was as enjoyable as 2018 or 2017. And I know people are talking right now about like whether it's fair to just blame it all on Frank or the front office for the players that they sold, but I feel like we haven't even got a great opportunity to see like Rossetto or these new players play in a comfortable system to say that they're downgrades yet.
So I have a couple of points to that.
Agree.
I agree with the style of play, but you know what I like more than whatever style of play that they're playing is winning games. And last year, the team managed to win enough games to be in a really great position at the end of the season and win multiple trophies. I don't care what style of soccer you're playing if you're winning games and ending up in a position to take on another cup run. Did they do it? No. But ultimately, I think last season was a success. This season, I think we can all agree that the circumstances are a little bizarre. And ultimately, if you want to talk about exciting football and exciting players to watch, you have a record signing in Pity Martinez, who, regardless of what coach you've got, is underperforming on a massive level right now. Mm-hmm. Like those are my issues, is that regardless of the manager isn't going to play the game for the players. And I think that's what I've kind of come to terms with over the past week or so, is that I've seen all the reports and talks about players leaving, and it seems like it's a good move just because Frank kind of lost the locker room. And I think that there's a cultural divide in between who he is as an individual and who the players are as individuals. And I think that that's more meaningful to the club rather than the X's and O's or whether it's exciting to watch or not. He's getting results. I don't care about that aspect of the game. It's what's happening with the personnel groupings, and you kind of get on a slippery slope from that standpoint too. But ultimately, the players are going to have to play the game no matter what.
Right. I think it's interesting that I've never supported a team before that has like a very strong, put together and conscious brand, like Atlanta United does. And I feel that we have to. It's what I'm realizing with the reaction from the fan base is it's not that we win games, although I always want us to win games. It's how we're winning games. And I feel like I'm with you, PS. I want to be entertained. Entertain me.
Yeah, I think we could tell from last year at the stadium, I invited like a lot of new people when I was going. And the environment was just, obviously we're a little worse. That's a big part of it. But it was just a little deader than it was in 2018 and 2017. And I think that, like, as crazy as this sound, I don't think it is. We did technically get results, as you said. But I think that it wasn't exciting enough. And at the end of the day, the reason we're all here and we all fell in love with the team was for the excitement. So, yes, technically we won. But, like, are we going to, in the offseason when the pandemic happened and we were bored out of our minds, we weren't going back to watching the 2019 games. If we were watching anything, we were looking for those 2017, those 2018 games that thrilled us.
Stuart, I stand by the fact that Campeones Cup win is one of the most exciting games that I've ever been a part of. Whether it's, even I would hold that up alongside our MLS Cup run the year prior. Like it was a phenomenal game and a phenomenal atmosphere to be a part of.
I totally agree with that. I thought it was amazing. But I feel like that environment was a little different because
I agree.
Exactly, and we had like the types of referees that were going to help support that type of soccer, whereas MLS we just don't have some of the referees. We don't have the experience that we're looking for.
We lost Kevin somewhere along the way. Not sure where he went. There he goes.
Yeah, sorry. I've got a lot of windows open to keep refreshing for the inboxes and stuff like that. So if you do I just rage quit. Sorry. opponent has left the game. If you guys want to join in with Pierce and anybody else, show@gethomebeforedark.com or shoot us a DM, home before dark. That's before spelled being the number 4 on Twitter.
Pierce, I have a question for you. They're talking about in the trap whether or not you think that the fans' voices had any influence in Frank's departure. And another question that I have, and I wanted to get to everybody about, is how much they do say mutually agreed, right? How much of it, seeing his body language, how much do you think it's 50-50? Do you think it's 60-40? How much is Frank wanting to leave versus the team wanting him out?
I think that in terms of your second question, I think it probably was mutual. I think it was probably 50-50. I think his stock wasn't going to get any higher. So, like, he wasn't going to rebound in 2020. We'd just be okay. He won. Right now, Europe is they're just hiring coaches now anyway. So this is the peak time for him to go if he's going to get another job. Tata had like the 2 years and then options for an extension. So weren't leaning towards extending him. It kind of worked out for everyone. In regards to the fans' voices, I am someone who never have believed that. But what I will say, particularly about our fan base, we were particularly loud about, compared to MLS, about wanting him out. And I think it was the combination of the fans not being happy, Joseph Pitti walking out, the players not being happy. It was just a little too much.
Okay, so let me pose another question. There's been a lot made about the style of play between Frank and Tata, right? About exciting soccer to watch versus boring soccer. What if the results aren't happening, but the players are playing just like they were under Tata? What do you let go of the coach then? Like that's a question that this fan base may reasonably have to answer, is that if you have a South American coach that's going to want to play under that style, but somehow it's not successful for whatever reason and you're not winning games, I think it's a slippery slope, and the precedent that it sets, I think, is my biggest concern. Is like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, I think it's like what Frank said, we're a little spoiled. I think just like a lot of big teams in other leagues, we want both, and we don't really settle for, well, if we win, it's fine any way we win. It's like we want to win and be attacking. So if we had another coach and maybe we finished like 4th in the East, but we were exciting as hell, I think if we were close, I think the fans would be fine. But I think if we were playing exciting soccer, but we were Orlando, then it's like, then we probably wouldn't be excited about it. But I think we want both. It may be asking for a lot. That's what we want.
Yeah, part of me, Tim, correct me, but I don't think, like, Liverpool were great to watch the past few years with Klopp. And if they had just been winning, 1-0 and then not played in very exciting ways, but still achieved the success that they have succeeded, I don't think as many people would have be buying into Liverpool at that level. Yeah,
I think it probably comes down to that style. The style in which you win definitely defines it puts a mystique around your team whenever you're successful. And you can think about pretty much any league. If you think about, like, I look back at NBA stuff because I'm a huge basketball fan, and the teams that have an aura around them of invincibility are the teams, the dynastic teams like the Bulls or the 2 Rockets teams or the Golden State Warriors teams. They're all super exciting to watch. They played a fun brand of basketball. But then you think back to like the Pistons. You had the bad boys teams, but then you also have the Spurs and then the later Pistons under Larry Brown that were really boring defensive teams that were super dominant whenever they did play, that people probably don't think about as much. And they probably were not as excited, especially if you think about, like, for the league, if you even take that out of, if you take the fans of that team out of the equation and you look at it from like an objective standpoint of people who like watching the game, if you think about it, most of the people are not going to want to tune in, and it's going to, those swing games and those that are coming on TV, people are probably not going to be as likely to watch. It's not as good for the league. I don't know if I was going down too much of a tangent or too much of a rabbit hole, but like that's for both the team and people that are, on the fringes. It definitely doesn't help things, I don't think.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I think it comes back to like one of the fundamental concepts that is Atlanta United. One of the goals is to become a globally recognized brand. And you're not going to do that playing the way we were playing. Even though it was an unfinished system, you're going to get more attention if you are an exciting team and win rather than a not as entertaining team.
Can I ask another follow-up question? Because again, this comparison is important, and I think it's important that we all boil down what the key components of exciting football was versus boring football, right? And a big part of that, aside from the manager, are the players that were playing in the system. So what were the most exciting pieces in that Tata run? Because I would stand to argue that the pieces that made that exciting football to watch are no longer there in the team as it stands currently. And who's going to fill that role? Because as far as I've seen, regardless of the person that's managing them, aside from Barco and Joseph and Miles Robinson at the back, I don't know who really lights up the field in a way whenever they're given the opportunity that you say, wow, this is really exciting to watch regardless of the system. Or that's what I think we need to figure out here.
So I would say Pity would be, so when we played against the Red Bulls, he was very exciting. I thought he played great. I also think, like you've already said,
last year,
but no, again, when we last played the Red Bulls 3 games ago.
Oh, okay.
I thought Pity was great then. I think Brooks Lennon could be up there because he's racing up and down the pitch all the time, throwing in crosses. Man, I love a Miles Robinson. The middle of the field, though, the huge amount of midfielders, though, there hasn't been someone who's really
exactly
pushed their time.
Exactly.
But the thing is, but you can't compare that because there just hasn't been enough time. Like, I think Jan's been on the pitch for a total of maybe 90 minutes.
So there hasn't been enough time for the players, but there's been enough time for the coach. Like, that's, again, it's like, this is where I'm getting into semantics here, where it's like, there hasn't been enough time, but some of these players have been there for more than just a couple of games, and they're not really performing very much. And I think that there's a big hole in the personnel groupings as much as there may be in the system that's being employed by them.
But I think they performed last year, and they didn't perform this year.
Well, they performed last year because there was Darlington Nagbe cementing them in the midfield. And before that, It was more Miguel Almiron. And again, there's just a lack of somebody there right now, I think. Yeah, but
exactly. So the players we haven't had enough time, like Rossetto, Castro. They haven't just had any time to really play for the team.
So do you put that on the player or on the manager?
I mean,
because now we're talking about the player hasn't had enough time to develop, but the coach's system is flawed. You see what I'm getting at here? It's like we're getting rid of a manager because it's not exciting football, but the players haven't had enough time to develop in any system. So how do you know?
But it hasn't been exciting football since he took over. Generally speaking.
Okay, so it hasn't been. So again, I go back to the same question. It's like last year it was more exciting because we had Darlington Nagbe here. Is that what we're saying?
More exciting than Tata?
Exactly. Like, that's what I'm getting at, is like the personnel groupings under Tata are completely different than they have been since. So it's not as much as it is just the manager as it is the people playing the game.
I see what you're saying, but
Pierce was trying to jump in.
Go ahead, Pierce.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I disagree for the most part, but I do super agree with Kevin's point that he just made, in that, it is not all Frank's part. It is a big part on the players that we brought in 2019 why we didn't perform. What I think about a lot is that, like, we have like no top quality wingers anymore since we got rid of Yamil, then we got rid of Tito and Gressel, and those are the people who are going to have that exciting, fast soccer that we didn't replace. So we just had pity, and because we've always had midfielders who were not creative sparks gonna excite the crowd or anything like that. So I definitely see your point, Kevin, but I think for the most part, I think it was just Frank's style added on that he didn't want to evolve, and a couple of misplaced player choices by the front office.
I think that I genuinely think that the biggest issue has less to do with exciting versus boring football, and the ultimate reason why he left is based on a cultural difference and a personality difference between him and the players on the field. And that's where I come back to, is that whenever you start looking at all these different parts and pieces, and whichever way you want to cut it about comparing him versus Tata or this player versus that player, like, you're ultimately grasping at straws in some regard. And I think that the one thing that I can come back to that was at a impasse was the way that he carried himself and he wanted to manage this team versus the players that he was managing, and their personalities were ultimately at odds with one another. And you can't manage a team if there isn't that synthesis between the two.
Sure. No, I totally agree. But at the end of the day, it affects the end product.
I agree.
Like, the end product is what you're selling.
Right.
So if you have those impasses, you can't communicate effectively, people are irritated with it affects the end product. And I think an end product with that people enjoy rather than a product that people don't enjoy as much, then it's going to hurt your brand.
Yeah. So Scott McMillan couldn't call in, but he sent a DM that says, I think the decision needed to be made. I may be wrong, but I feel FDB was trying to fix something that wasn't broke. It was like he was trying to fit the players in a system that didn't suit their talents. It really hurt him losing Nagbe. FDB wanted a control style game, and losing the guy that kept control hurts. Also, Joseph could cover a myriad of mistakes that put another nail in the coffin, and not scoring in the tournament buried him, my opinion only. Yeah, not a bad opinion at all. I know that you guys have kind of been this. It's a ton of messages in the trap and stuff to keep up with.
And apologies for whatever reason. I'm getting the message. I don't know if Kevin and Dan and Pierce, if you guys are seeing the messages in StreamYard, but they're like trickling in very slowly.
Oh,
like
are they?
On my screen anyway. I don't know if it's because I'm host, but I'm just now getting stuff from like 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
10 minutes behind.
I do see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, why you guys need to call in, put your face where your mouth is, and show at Get Home Before Dark or Twitter Home Before Dark B and the number 4. Yeah, I mean, so here's another question, Pierce. One of the things that keeps coming up is Pity Martinez, right? And how he's fit in Frank's system versus coming off of a South American player of the year run prior to coming to Atlanta United. So one of the suggestions that I had seen on Twitter following the news about Frank was that, does the new coach come in and rather than trying to get all the players to conform to their system, do they develop a system around Pity Martinez specifically?
I don't think we do that. I think that, because I'm kind of agreeing with Toyota Football on Twitter, and that, like, you know, I think he had an incredible couple of seasons, but I don't think he's performed well enough or consistent enough for us to say, okay, going forward, we're going to build around him, especially because he doesn't seem like he wants to be here for that long anyways.
Agreed. And I think that's always the risk that you run with any player that you build around, right?
Yeah, I just think it would be better if we were building around anyone, it would be some of the younger players that we're going to bring in. So if we bring in like a Jonathan Gonzalez or this new Eric Lopez kid who's really good, building them into like the structure of the team, but like building them around one player is probably not something that we're going to do because we're the club that's constantly trying to sell our best players on. So
yeah,
I think. What about? So I kind of see. I agree with. We've never seen Pity at his best, and I feel like that's. You can say the same as from Barco, and because Barco is one of the younger players on the squad, I feel like building a team around Barco is a better idea because I think Barco plays better centrally anyway than on the wings, and I think Pity is he's more of a natural winger, so. If you built that central spine around Barco with Pity able to complement him, hopefully that would help both of them out. Because I think, you're going to make more money off Barco than you would Pity.
And this may be me talking out of my depth, but would you guys agree that's what Tata did with Miggy? I mean, as much as I think about the success of those seasons was a team, an offense, and a strategy built around Miggy on a counterattack with pace, right? Like, but you run the risk of whatever that player's gone, what do you do? And does that fall back again? It's back to this discussion again of like, okay, that player's no longer there and the team has a lag until you have another centerpiece to build the team around. And does everybody get into a revolt over the coach? Or is it over the players again? And whenever you're talking about a sustainable system, I think that's ultimately what Frank was always trying to develop, was something that would be able to have key pieces that would switch in and out over the long term.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Pierce, thank you for joining us. We don't want to keep you too long. We do have other people popping on. One thing I do want to ask: dream signing as a coach. Who do you want at the helm? Realistically, let's stick within reason.
I think Gallardo is a little unrealistic, but I think Heinze would probably be a good fit.
All right. I think that's a pretty popular opinion right now. So
respect it. Where can the people find you at on Twitter?
21 Waves. Look me up. I'm always in you guys' feed.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, man, and congratulations on nailing that job. And
congrats, man.
Yeah, good job, man. Awesome.
It's friggin' awesome to see. Good luck, man. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming on and being brave and joining the stream. We always enjoy it.
Great to meet you, Pierce. Thanks, man.
All right. I think Domer might be done eating by this point.
Okay, awesome.
Gonna add him
Let's
to
see, maybe he is eating. That'd be great.
No, I'm done now.
How's it going, man?
A little spicy. Good tonight. Y'all doing all right?
Hey,
Yeah,
Doma.
Yeah. Oh, how you feeling about the? So we talked to Pierce mainly, around the FDB stuff. How you feeling right now? What was your initial gut reaction per Dan's original question to us earlier? What was your initial gut reaction whenever you heard the news about Frank?
Surprised. Very surprised. I had wanted to wait until we got everything back out because I didn't know if it was a knee-jerk reaction or what was going on. But if all of the information is correct about what happened, if he lost the locker room, if he wasn't able to communicate his vision properly, and that's a very, very difficult thing to do, is to be able to put what's rattling around in your head in a teachable language, particularly for guys that if your third language is their first language. To be able to communicate that properly. That 3-4-3 system is difficult.
Well, that was one question that I've been kind of pondering. I think we talked about it last week too. And if you guys in the trap, I'll pull up my phone so I can see it live anyway. But is MLS? Are we too constricted personnel wise and salary structure wise, where we probably don't have a league where a team could properly run a 3-4-3 with the amount of talent that you need to run that system?
I don't think we would have the talent consistently, but we can, every once in a while, if you have a team that can shift back and forth between a 3-4-3 and a 4-3-3 or a 4-3-2-1, that would be something that you can run rampant through the league with. Particularly if you come across where you end up with, if you have a Almiron and a Nagby on the team at the same time, have somebody that's got speed that can fly, that can hit nice passes, and somebody that can feed him. So Nagby's going to feed Almiron, and then Almiron can feed Joseph. So it's having that ball hawk in the middle, because you're going from 3 central midfielders to 2. That's a lot of work for 2 guys to handle in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is a guy like Jonathan Gonzalez, who were rumored to be signing on a loan, is he a guy that would help enable? Would he have been somebody who could help enable that system to run more properly?
That I'm not sure, because I believe he plays the 6. Yeah.
He does.
He does. That's what I found.
So
yeah.
I would think he would definitely help. But I would think we're more looking for that 8 or I guess an 8 that could feed Pitty, because since isn't he more of a traditional number 10? Isn't that how he was labeled or sold?
That's my
I think he was. I've kind of seen him have more success on the wings, though. Just referencing that Red Bulls game.
Yeah.
He's never needed. He's just. I haven't seen him really want to take the team on as that more traditional 10 role, which I, it's been frustrating to me. That's why I kind of see Barco as more of that sort of role, because he's good on the dribble, and I know.
I think Barco may be a little bit more focused too.
But Pitty also sees those passes that Barco doesn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you can say we have two quasi 10s, I guess.
It's like you go over here, you go over there.
Right. Well, that's been the biggest issue, is employing them both simultaneously and trying to figure out how they work together in tandem on the field at the same time.
How it worked last year when you have Nagby in the middle of the field. He's going to attract that ball. He's going to grab it. He's going to hold on to it. And you had Pitty and Barco in a more of a amorphous role in being very, very fluid behind Joseph. So Nagby's pushing that ball forward to either Barco or Pitty, who is going to feed Joseph.
Yeah.
So it's having that guy who is going to trap the ball, having that guy who's going to feed Pitty and Barco, the pass before the assist. That's the guy that we're missing.
Yeah, and that's why I worry about the 3-4-3, because you're kind of more reliant on that amorphous sort of blob to work its magic around the field and the opposing players, rather than having that, like you're saying, that structured build up to get the ball from the 6 to the 8 to the 10 to the 10 to the striker. And I worry that we're just not going to have the personnel to pull it off.
So I've got an interesting question for you, Domer. I think it's inevitable, or I think it's fair to say that not all of Frank's tenure was a complete wash. And I think that there are some positives, whether it's in the player, at a minimum, in some of the player development. You look at Miles Robinson, the incorporation of George Bello, at least from a minor role so far this season. What elements of what Frank has instilled would you carry forward into a new coach signing?
I would think that we're just looking for a coach that's going to attack but be less rigid. Frank was very, very rigid. At least that's seemed like to me. It took a halfway player revolt for him to go back to a 3-5-2 last year. Mm-hmm. So, and supposedly Joseph walked off the field too, which, if the leader, one of the leaders of our team, the talisman of our team, is walking off the practice field, and that's not good.
Right.
But if we can get a coach that can be very fluid, have a scheme that, we're going for attacking football, but we can attack in many different ways and not just try to go down the left or the right and cross it in. Can we play up the middle? Can we play down the sides? Depending on the opponent and what their system is.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm interested to hear Dan and Tim's comments as well. I think for me, one of the things that I think is a vast improvement over Tata to Frank that I really want to see get carried forward is less about the attacking. I think that's ultimately what's lacking in Frank's system, as we've all talked about. But defensively speaking, I'd be hard-pressed to dispute the fact that Frank's defensive tactics were far better than Tata's, and there was much more thought and consideration into playing the ball out of the backfield than there was under Tata's system.
Well, I think some of it comes down to personnel too, right? I mean, Tata, I think LGP worked in Tata's system in a lot of ways. Because he was a little more adventurous. He did give up the crazy goal occasionally, or he was caught out more often than Meza is. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it also probably comes down to and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, if you feel differently, but the development of Miles Robinson is kind of asynchronous to the coach, right? Like, I mean, it's not necessarily like his development has been working in parallel with whoever has been on the managerial side. I feel like he was getting better under Tata. He was getting better under Frank de Boer, and he's arguably the best center back in MLS. And I think that has a lot to do with our defensive record. If nothing else, Kevin, I think that we did play a little more defensive, and maybe with that focus on the defense, that's why we were seemingly better than we were under Tata, or if not better, then more predictable and less,
more comfortable, less sporadic, less erratic.
As a fan watching, I felt like I was more shocked, like when the Red Bulls goal went in 4 minutes in to the first game of the tournament. Like that to me was kind of shocking, just because of how consistent I felt this team has been in terms of our score, or our defensive record, as it were. Whereas Tata, I honestly don't have the stats in front of me. The Tata regime might have given up just as few goals, but it seemed like you never knew what you were going to get. You would get a 4-0 shutout, and then we would lose whatever it was, 5-0 to or 4-0 to Chicago, 5-0 to Chicago. Or was that under Frank? Actually, I think that was
under Frank.
Yeah. I was going to say, but we did have some losses under Tata. We had the 4-0 loss against Houston.
Right.
But then you go on a championship winning run. Like, you don't, it was hard to know. And part of that has to do with the parity of the league too, I think, is there's so much variability between teams and travel schedules and playing schedules and just the talent level. I mean, we talked about playing down to your opponents a lot with this team, and really, I think any team in MLS. I mean, you see with teams like, we joke, but like the way that Parejas got the Orlando team rolling, I don't know how much of it has to do with the tournament, or like Cincinnati. Like we were joking about Yap Stam being, all those jokes, and then they lose 4-0 to Columbus, and then they make it to the round of 16. Like, there's just so much unpredictability. But I did feel like under Frank, we had some sort of predictability whenever it came to the defensive record. And I hope that we do maintain a little bit of that. But I mean, if I would be lying if I said that I wouldn't be happier with a more attacking mindset.
Well, it's like we need to get the balance between the two, right? Like we need to carry over that consistency and conservative. What's the word I'm looking for? It's
conservative.
Well, it's like conservative, but applied to the full defensive approach. So
libertarian. That's what
so it's like we need to be more conservatively minded, defensively speaking. But that is a fucking clusterfuck of a sentence. Anyway, we need to be more conservative on defense and way more, I don't know, just interesting offensively speaking. Like we need to take more chances, be more exciting, and get some of that spark back that has clearly been missing from the lineup.
Yeah, I want to see more muscle in the midfield.
But isn't that what Jonathan Gonzalez seemingly brings to the team? If you're bringing in a tough-minded center defensive midfielder, I've seen calls. I honestly stopped really paying attention to his week in, week out performance in Monterrey once he switched over to El Tree, because I was invested in him the same way I'm invested in Weston McKennie or Josh Sargent, whoever playing abroad, watching U.S. men's team prospects getting better and kind of gauging the future of the team. And I was really pissed off. As some people might remember, I was really pissed off that the USSF didn't give Jonathan Gonzalez a fair shake and call him up. Instead, we're calling up Kyle Beckerman and Michael Bradley. But I mean, you're talking about a kid who's 21 years old and has started a lot over the past few years for Monterrey, one of the best teams in Mexico. If I'm not mistaken, they do have 1 or 2 titles with him playing on that team. And he has 71 appearances at the age of 21 for a pretty big side in MLS. I've seen a lot of people kind of ragging on the signing or the rumors because he's a number 6. But I feel like we need it if we're going to be. I think it was Greg Fraser was saying. Let me see if I can find because I can't pull it up on the screen because of the delay. But he said Gonzalez will let us play more of a 4-3-3-ish, which I'm more excited about. Which I think would probably evolve into like a 4-3-2-1 and that kind of dual attacking midfielder roles, maybe by Barco and Petey. But I don't know. I mean. There's other things. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of rambling right now. But I mean, when you're talking about Jonathan Gonzalez, you're talking about a Mexican player. You're talking about Jürgen Damm, you're talking about a Mexican player. I put it in the show title, but Cubo Torres, former Houston Dynamo striker, also a Mexican player, right? Is being he's playing down in Liga MX. He's being rumored with this team. What does that mean? Does that mean Piojo is going to be our manager next year? I mean, are we going to see a Mexican manager next year? I mean, I think we've gone. I mean, we're rating Liga MX, right? I mean, between Fernando Meza and Jürgen Damm and potentially Jonathan Gonzalez and Cubo Torres, like, what is that all about?
We got Greg Garza.
Well, I think you ultimately need to have a manager that can, again, I think the cultural divide and personality changes between a European manager necessarily, and if the team is comprised mostly of South American players, a manager that's going to be able to keep the locker room in a state of synthesis between one another,
Yeah, I think that I don't care where our manager is from. I just want a manager who looks at the squad that we have and plays that squad in the best way that they and the squad agree on. I think that is going to be the key to unlocking everybody's potential.
Yeah.
What
Any
do you
final?
hope to see from a managerial standpoint? I guess go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Domer, final thoughts. Who would you like to see coming into the replacement role before we rotate in?
I really honestly have no idea who would be the best fit for the team. So, who can we bring in that's going to communicate, that can be flexible and get the most out of our players? Who that's going to be, I've got no idea. I mean, none of us thought that we were going to get Frank de Boer after Tata. We were thinking of all these South American Mexican coaches. We weren't thinking of this Dutch coach flying in under the radar. But I don't think any of us. I'll be surprised if the coach that comes in is somebody that's actually been talked about even once.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't see FDB coming at all. I didn't see his arrival coming. I didn't see his departure coming.
Good point. All right, Domer, always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Domer, are you in your house?
Yes.
That is a beautiful stone wine cellar that you have behind you.
It's actually a dungeon.
It's over there, bar right there. So you gotta have the liquor next to the fire, man.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I love the stone.
Domer, since the people can't see you waving flags and in your keeper jerseys in the supporter section, where can they find you if they want to find you on social media?
Oh, it's Domer Donaldson on every social media. Just keep it easy.
Awesome.
Or down in the Gulch. So it's come hunting, man.
Next year, maybe 2 years. Who knows?
Log
Yeah.
into LinkedIn right here.
Yeah.
Well, give Casey our best. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Domer.
Why don't you just bring in the other two at the same time? Bring them both in.
We
Bring
only
in the
got one.
hounds.
But Kendrick dropped.
Kendrick, get your ass in here.
Getting really bad feedback from Patrick. I don't know. You have your mic set too, Patrick.
Yeah, hold on. I'll play with it.
Oh, trash.
I'm going to have to mute him for a second. Yeah.
This is trash.
This is amateur hour. This is what happens when you let
All right, Kendrick, fired it up. I'll see if I can get him in here too. Well, I'm glad Domer was able to call in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
My favorite thing is the way these things always go. It's like everybody wants us to open it up, and then nobody wants to call in whenever we do.
Story of your life, Kev.
Test it out, Patrick.
Yeah.
That's better.
Oh, that's better.
Okay.
Very much better.
How's it going, man?
Oh, living the dream, buddy. Always.
So what was your first reaction to the news about Frank?
Yeah, I wanted Kendrick on here because he's been De Boer out since the moment he landed at the airport. I wasn't really on the De Boer out bandwagon, but I think its time had come. We've got 11 supporting guys on the team and nobody actually pulling the trigger, and it seems like tactically De Boer was fine with that. So something had to change.
I have been in that position screaming at my TV, shoot the ball, and then Barker passes it off to Pity, who passes it off to the
No,
wing.
he passes it to Pity, who then launches it into the upper deck.
I've been saying
He's got something against whatever is behind the goal because he is very consistently 2 feet over the top 90.
I'm convinced he's trying to make more money with the Falcons at this point.
Yeah, I've got no defense against PD always skying it. Though in this tournament, he did get all his free kicks on target, I believe.
He definitely did. And I think it was more Castro's fault on this during the tournament than it was anybody else's.
Yeah.
Well, we pulled Adam John in to be our big guy up top and to get on the end of crosses, and then as soon as something goes sideways with the game plan, it feels like he's the first person out. So I don't understand if your game plan is to cross the ball into the box. Why do you pull your big guy out as soon as things go sideways?
Yep.
Yeah, because you got to have defensive bodies against Cincinnati who's going to sit back and park the bus being a man up for 90 minutes. Really great.
Of course, if we were going to live and die by the cross, we probably shouldn't have traded away our top assist guy who's known for crossing the ball in.
Exactly.
For sure. I think we're getting some of that. We're getting some of that feedback again, Patrick, but I'm not sure what's going on here.
Tim, king of quality.
He's got that Folgers can attached to the metal wire. Have you tried shaking it?
Tell you what, I'll give it one more try. Cut me out for a second. I'll see if I can fix it.
All right.
Try the rabbit ears. See. Maybe you need to lean it one way or the other. Smack it around. Did you blow in it first? It's like a Nintendo cartridge, you know.
Connor Thompson in the trap saying Petey for Falcons punter.
Exactly.
Yeah, he said Petey with the fake punt run the football. We would be unbeatable until he gets a concussion. So Greg, while we're waiting for Patrick to sort things out, our buddy Greg Fraser is asking, the aforementioned Cubo Torres, like what your thoughts would be about assigning like him, given his success, maybe formerly, I think with Chivas USA, or if it was not Chivas USA, it was Chivas Guadalajara. He would kind of petered out a little bit whenever he was with Houston, but that is a need on our side. We talked about Adam John maybe not getting a fair shake, but Cubo Torres I think might be younger than
27
and maybe more capable and more versatile than Adam John. Dan, like what are your thoughts on us going after somebody like Cubo?
I think we need that person with like a really dogged, dead-eye sort of attitude. I don't see that from Jan. I see them as more of a traditional sort of Kenwyn Jones type center forward. He's a big guy who can physically outmuscle defenders.
But can he do a backflip?
No, he cannot do a backflip at all. Well, I don't know. I've never seen him. I've never seen it. I would like to have someone like Torres on the roster just to give us something different up front. But I feel like no matter what we do at striker, because we have so much money tied up in Joseph in a DP slot, you're not going to be able to really replace him without bringing in a DP signing. I don't feel like
we're not trying to replace him, right? We're trying to make sure that we have some sort of supplementation if and when an injury like this happens. Like you have to have some sort of safety net, right?
I feel like we're trying to replace his production, and
but
so that's going to mean
at that point, right? Like you have to do it by committee because of the
absolutely
salary restrictions.
Yeah, we have to moneyball it. So I feel like if Torres can come in and he can do something, because he had a whole bunch of social problems in Houston, maybe his mind's changed, like his attitude and maturity has changed, that he can actually put something together. I mean, he was a pretty hyped in Houston, and he just never really came through on anything. So if he can do that, then absolutely, I'm happy for him to be there. I just worry that he's just not going to live up to the expectations that we want him to. And I guess nobody can really live up to Atlanta United fans' expectations. But
no. Patrick, thoughts about Cubo Torres?
Pretty similar to Dan. I remember when he was down in Texas, he was good. What, am I picking back again?
Yeah, no worries though. But yeah, keep going.
He was good, but he wasn't Joseph Martinez. He wasn't Carlos Vela. He wasn't an elite level guy. But we're not going to get an elite level guy. That's not for a price tag that can afford so much money in the roster right now. And we don't need him. I don't think anybody at that level is going to want to come in and sit on the bench behind Joseph. So we just got to kind of muddle through until he's able to play again.
That's actually a really good point, Patrick. I mean, if we're going to try and lure a striker, how much is having Joseph essentially in the batter's box getting ready? I mean, you've seen, granted, he looks a little hefty right now. He looks a little like
he put on the COVID-19.
Yeah, but as a striker, I think a guy like Cubo Torres is going to be somebody who sees that and is like, I could play backup. Like I could play backup to the best guy in MLS or whatever, one of the best strikers in MLS. Fuck it, he's the best striker in MLS. Like
anybody else feel a little bit better about the weight they've gained in quarantine, seeing the weight that Joseph's gained, like me. Even though I know I'm never going to be as fit as he is, but I'm like, oh, even a god can bleed.
It's good for wound healing, man. He needs that fat mass.
He's got, I mean, Torres has, anybody coming into this role has an excellent opportunity. They just need to be on the field and not substituted before the 40th minute mark to be able to put that together. So I feel like with someone coming in like a Torres, he has a huge opportunity to like jumpstart his career. I mean, he's 27 now. I mean, he needs to be thinking about his retirement plan. So, and he's probably going to be coming as a low range TAM player. I mean, I think it's all mental. It's all mental. He just needs to be like a real bulldog trying to go for goal.
He fits the stereotypical Carlos Bocanegra target, right? He's a guy who used to be good, very like high, like was high profile, highly touted, and now is down on his luck. And we're that girlfriend that's going to try and fix him, right? Like we can fix you. Like I know what it takes. I know you've had a couple teams, and I know things have gone bad. It's not you, it's them. We got this. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Gently nurture him.
Yeah, gently nurture. What about the Jonathan Gonzalez rumors, Patrick? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, be great if it works out. I don't know what sort of money that would be. It looks like from social media he's interested in it.
Yeah,
or at least following along. Our unlimited roster-wise, he's a U.S. national, U.S. passport holder, so I don't think that would be a problem for us, although international spots never seem to be much of an issue with our team anyways.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I think the rumor is what, $10 to $12 million if we go for it. It sounds like a Heinemann deal, right? And what I imagine would likely happen is we're going to bank on getting if the season resumes, right? We'll get a loan. At least this is my thought. Loan to permanent purchase, and I think he would end up being a DP player probably.
So
$10 million on the loan.
What's that?
Question with that is
to purchase. Yeah.
The question with that is that we're going to have to free up a DP slot. And I think the first one that we all can probably agree that would actually get signed or sold would be Barco. Do you guys think that happens this year?
This is such a weird year. I don't think anybody knows what the market's going to look like.
I am hoping that he would fit. Wasn't he trying to fit in that under 23 role? So Barco fits in the young designated player, the under 23 role. So I think
because we're not going to be able to sell Pity at this point. Like I don't think anybody's going to come knocking for him based on his performance.
No,
I think and Martinez Joseph's not going anywhere. So I think Barco out of the three has the highest potential to garner an offer and a potential sale in the offseason, but I don't know, like you said, because nobody knows what the market's going to be like this year.
Well, with the league being cash strapped, that fourth DP that Arthur Blank's been trying to get forever, that's not happening this year. Mm-hmm. The Crafts of the world are going to lock everything down and minimize their output as much as they can.
Well, we also don't know what the new CBA that takes effect this year is going to do. So until they release the salary figures, which will be around I think it's been the 15th of September, at least the middle of September when they finally release those, that we know what everyone's making. And then potentially with the amount of TAM that we bring in or those other discretionary funds, that do you end up paying down one of the DPs in order to bring it, or paying down Jonathan Gonzalez, and in order how to do that? We just don't know enough about the financial landscape of this league in this and the future years in order to really make a educated, guess on that.
Yeah.
If that comes out and says Grussel's making less than $200,000 in DC, I'm going to cry.
So I was trying to pull together a spreadsheet today, and I actually DM'd Toyota Football And I was like, what is going on? All my salary information that I've been able to find gives us one TAM player in Guzan. So he was able to put me on the right path. But it seems like, I don't know.
Was this all billable
salary
time? You said you were working on this today?
Yeah, a little bit around, here and there.
Well,
So somewhere there is a business paying for you to talk to Teal football.
Lunch hour. That's what it's called. Lunch hour.
Yeah, that's it. Let me look at the timestamp on that file. So, Patrick, what do you think as far as prospects that are out there? What would you like to see? And if not a specific name, what type of manager would you like to see, or what traits would you like to see them instill into the team coming in?
I mean, it's tempting to go after one of the Argentinian guys. And it was Independiente's coach is up for renegotiation. Velez Sarsfield's coach is up for renegotiation. I feel like there's one more South American name that got floated. You've also, and then you've got Rafa Benitez is over in China, as well as Pellegrini. And I think, was it Rafa that had an Athletic article about what life was like in China, and he kind of seemed like he wasn't loving his new lifestyle and new environment. I mean, those guys have shown they can be quality coaches in the past. Pellegrini with Chile was excellent, but who knows? I mean, again, it's a weird year. Nobody, I think, globally knows what clubs' bottom lines are going to be like, what next season's going to be like, what personnel is going to be like. So I don't envy the guys trying to make a hire right now.
So what do you want to see this team look like going forward?
Oh, I want them attacking. I mean, I want it to be more like our first two seasons. I don't care if we get 3 goals scored on us, as long as we score 4.
Miles Robinson's not going to let that happen.
Yeah, Miles. We've got a fantastic back line. I think if anything good comes out of the amount of time that De Boer had, it's Miles Robinson coming up from the twos, Bello coming up from the twos, even though injury kind of kept him from playing a major role. So the back line I don't worry about, but the attacking.
Yeah, and I don't know how much he had in Mesa signing either, but I mean, a huge get for this team, and has consistently played well, to the points that Dan made earlier about players not having enough time. Mesa's one that seemed to jump in pretty quickly and find his footing.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I worry. I'm hoping that Mesa, so he's 30 right now. I'm hoping that he can do a Lorenowitz and stick around for like 5 more years.
30 is MLS prime. I don't know what you're talking about. Like he's good to go.
I know. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, like how old was Chad Marshall whenever he retired? He was still like one of the best.
45, something like that.
Yeah, something. At least 52 years old, I think, was what.
Oh, Guzan's going to 50 for sure.
Dude, could you imagine?
He doesn't have a choice, Kev.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so next season, last question, Patrick, Can or Guzan?
We've got to start getting Can some reps in there. I mean, he's shown that he's a viable keeper. Guzan is eventually, as someone on the wrong side of 30, eventually Guzan's going to have to slow down. He's going to take a weird jump, and then his knee's going to go out. That's going to be it.
Yeah.
Or
Escobar's going to get sick of getting punched in the back of the head and finally chop his knees out from under him.
That's my change for next year. I think we need to take this downtime and send Escobar to some anger management classes. He has put on the LGP mantle of just going off on someone randomly.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to get carded a lot more than LGP did.
Yeah.
And LGP got carded a lot.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Patrick, for coming on. We got Brian waiting, so we're gonna rotate out here. We'll talk again soon. Cheers, man.
Easy.
Thanks, Patrick.
See you, brother. Brian,
what's up?
Hey, Brian.
I like this phrase.
Brian.
Trap star regular Brian is joining.
I barely recognize you outside of an art festival in town or something like that.
I know.
It's very bizarre. How you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there.
Good. So, same question for you as everybody. What was your What was your gut reaction to the news about Frank?
That was one of the most surprising notifications I've ever had on my phone, I think. Honestly, for me. I was like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess I was a little more forgiving to Frank, or I would have been, because it seemed to me like last year was, I don't know what he could have done better. I guess he could have played more like Tata and still gotten the same result. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're like one wonder goal away from making MLS Cup.
Mm-hmm.
We beat Club America. We go deeper into the Champions League than we did with Tata.
Yep.
I mean,
and no matter what manager is in there, they're going to have different person, because Miggy's gone no matter what. Your players' rotation is going to be the same. You're still going to have to figure out the identity of this team no matter what. I completely agree.
Yeah, and then when it started off, it was, I mean, obviously everyone hated it and it was horrible. But then 7 or 8 games in, the team took over and said, we're going to play the way we want to play. And he was like, okay, fine, I'll go with it. And then everything was pretty rosy for the remainder of the year. And then 2020 is 2020. I mean, what can you even say about it? It's
exactly
just a disaster for everything. So I don't know.
So if the rumors, and I'm assuming they're rumors at this point, I don't know if anything's been documented, is true, that Frank lost the locker room, or there was some divide culturally speaking in between him and the players. What are your thoughts on that, and what course of action do you think this is the right course of action, if that is the case, and if that is the main driving reasoning behind their mutual agreement to part ways?
For me, I think that's a huge thing. But it's like, I mean, what can you say? It's not like he hasn't lost the locker room before.
True.
Right? I mean, and after he did, it turned out to be like pretty damn good. So maybe he should have lost it again. We should have given him a second chance.
No.
I mean, obviously that's a joke, but like, I mean, I think if that's really true, then this is probably just a really, really great timing for them to make the move now, because it's like the rest of this season is going to be, who even knows if they're going to finish it, and they can begin the search now. Although it's going to be harder now than ever, to find somebody who's going to just want to go anywhere. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with this league? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like, if you're a manager on the outside looking in, you look at what's going on domestically in the U.S., immigration policy with COVID and everything, and then you look at MLS in general. Like, there's no promise that there's even a season coming up soon. Granted, Tata took the reins a year before we started our first campaign, right? He was, a good bit before, and maybe somebody would want to come in and at least work with Bocanegra and with Darren Eales, if even over Zoom or WebEx, what have you, your flavor, and manage the roster. But I don't know. I don't know what the prospects look like at this point.
I have a hard time coming up with a list of people that are just sitting out there in the wings, just thinking, "Oh man, this is my chance. This is the thing I want to do right now."
Finally, I'm making it to the big leagues.
Yeah, right. And so to me, it was kind of like, maybe that's a case for it being a really poor time to fire Frank, because it's like, you could have finished the season, and this tournament is not a very good reflection of anybody's performance at this point, right? I mean, like, what, anybody in the tournament? I mean, everyone thinks like Columbus.
I mean, Orlando's succeeding. You can't put that much stock in it.
That's the most 2020 thing that's going on right now, probably. I mean, so,
So
we'll see. I mean, I guess,
Dan, you're the money guy. How do we have to pay? How much are we having to pay Frank out? Didn't he have a 5-year deal? Something like that?
I guess it depends. I think if you have a contract and you are let go by the organization, you either have to pay the contract out or there's some sort of severance pay. You probably have to pay the contract out.
Yeah, so that's
what if there's a mutual agreement though?
Exactly.
But, yeah, it's still
they probably settled for some amount that wasn't the remainder of his contract.
Potentially, they could have done that, but I mean, I think they probably paid it out because you want to make sure that your reputation, like the reason it's a mutual agreement is because of protecting each other's reputation within the inside business of the world of soccer. Because of course the fans are probably $5 trillion. No,
I can't imagine it was entirely too much. I bet it's less than most college football coaches get in the U.S. To be honest, like
surely. Well, I mean,
yeah, at least the good ones.
I don't know who. I would imagine that Bob Bradley's probably the highest paid manager in MLS right now. But
managers
remakes
don't have to conform to the financial obligations of the MLS teams build up. They are completely separate, so you can pay whatever they want. I mean, it kind of brings you to the fact, like, if Atlanta United are trying to make a global brand here, I mean, this really needs to be an eye-popping signing, I feel like. I mean, if you just bring in someone like Aitor Karanka or some sort of assistant coach, you're not going to be like, you know, it's not going to be a statement signing. I feel like you're going to be trying to bring someone in that has some tenure below them, like we did with Tata. I don't think Pochettino, but and I certainly don't think Bielsa. But
Bielsa's not going to leave Leeds, right? Like he just got them promoted to the Premier League for the first time in God knows 20 years, something like that.
Yeah, he's not coming over. I feel like we can offer Gallardo, my guy, just as much as he's doing in Argentina, but it depends on what he like, if he wants to leave Argentina or part of me, there's a lot of going around that Gallardo is not a realistic signing, but I feel like he potentially could be a realistic signing, but not just because he's trying to coach pity. That's ridiculous. I feel like he could be brought in because he's interested in the academy. That was one thing that was a demand from him to River, saying, I want to be involved in the academy production. We have an academy here. I'm sure we'll give him that sort of control, just because that was a reason that we wanted to bring Frank in. And his mantra is to like stick with these guys who he can develop into excellent players, like he has done with plenty of other River legends. And I feel like that's someone who we could really deal with, trying to bring in these younger guys, flip them for a profit. That's what we're trying to do here.
Fair enough.
Brian, it sounded like you had a couple points that you wanted.
No, it was a joke, but now it's too late.
Oh, it's past. So I do have two questions.
What's Maradona doing right now if we're trying to make a statement signing?
Probably doing coke.
He's drinking wine.
Cocaine. Cocaine is
cocaine mostly cocaine. Probably
I saw that in the trap. I saw somebody put in the trap that I don't think I can't remember. I'd have to scroll up and find it, but like I don't think we want to point the DEA on us. Like we don't want the DEA like
that heat.
Yeah. So two questions for you guys real quick. Joey Aledo in the trap says, I would love to know what Carlos and Larry were discussing during that Columbus game.
Yeah.
So I didn't even see that because I was watching on the stupid freaking
Skycam because ESPN Plus is a joke of a fucking subscription service. It's like, what's the point in having us? What's the point in having a service if you're not even going to play the games that are on your networks?
Let's be fair, Kevin. I pay $5 a month to watch fights. That's pretty much it.
My favorite thing is watching Nicktoons on my Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah, no. So
what the fuck are we talking about?
Disney Plus. I love Disney Plus.
So I didn't even see that happen, and I saw Josh Bagriansky post it, and I was like, shit. Like that is very curious to see that going on in the dugout, and just to know Frank has been very detached from the team. Was this something that was going on prior to the? I see Dan's reaction. I'm pretty sure it's to the Jackson Conway thing. That just
What?
Breaking news: Jackson Conway scored a goal for Atlanta United 2. Took his shirt off. Forgot he was on a yellow and got sent off. So, Poor guy. No, but like, was Frank's body like?
Credit to Gregory Fraser for putting that up. That is insane.
So like with that with Frank's body language, with Bocanegra coming down into the dugout and seemingly talking tactics with Larry, like, was the writing on the wall before the was it something that was decided before the tournament?
I think it happened before that conversation with Larry and Bocanegra. I think the fact that he attended the matches spoke volumes. Like, why was he there to be like that's? I don't think that's necessarily common practice for him and Darren to be attending it in the format that they were, and what that game meant.
I read something that said that they were going to go there to be down with them because they were asking their families, these guys, to be away from their families for that long, that they should make the same commitment.
Gotcha.
But
yeah, I think at least Boca should be down there because, I mean, as a technical director, he needs to be seeing exactly what's happening on the field.
Yeah, because Lord knows he can't watch it on ESPN Plus.
Nope.
Probably got Hulu.
Which is funny because Angie and I were listening. We were in the car heading back from somewhere whenever the game started, and we turned on 92.9, and it sounded like Jason and Mike Conti were having issues with the camera view too. Like they're like, we think that John Gallagher just came in. So hold on, we have to confirm it, but.
I don't know if we can blame ESPN or we have to blame Orlando for having the facilities and having a camera angle like that. I mean,
the answer is yes.
Both?
Both. It's both.
Yeah. We watched from the pylon cam, the corner cam.
Which was the best view?
The pylon cam? He broke the plane!
Well, that's to go completely across the line in soccer. Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, do you think that like it was decided before the tournament? Do you think Frank was out before the tournament ever happened?
Oh, come on.
I don't think they would ever make a judgment that quickly. I don't think it'd be like, you know what? Maybe it's because they were in Orlando for so long, it clouded their judgment. And they were like, you know what? Oh, this sucks so much. What would make us feel better? Let's get rid of Frank. I don't think it was that. I think it was probably something that's been brewing since they came back to training. I mean, how many games did we play at the beginning of the year? 2? 3?
3, right?
Three games, and I hardly even remember them. So
yeah.
And the players, I mean, in all the training shots, the players didn't look super happy. I guess it all can be contextualized, right? Thousands of photos get taken during training, and
so hear me out, guys.
Happy picture.
You guys have talked about a lot of South American coaches, but what about Jason Christ?
Oh.
Just saying, he's available.
What about
There's
Tim
a reason.
Cahill? I mean,
Kevin's got a point. Wait,
what about
Tim Cahill
as player coach?
No, but that actually leads into another the second question. Question B, number B that I have for you guys is: will this fan base? I felt like, and maybe it's just because of a vocal minority on Twitter, and that's the other thing got to take away from it, right? Twitter's 2% of the population in the U.S. Like, it is legitimately a very minuscule amount of the people that from the population that are on there.
But it's 100% of Atlanta United.
Twitter is a terrible place.
It's a fucking horrible dumpster fire.
It's a cesspool.
It is, yes, cesspool. It is for sure.
Follow us at Home Before Dark. That's before snow. Being the number 4.
Wallow in our type of trash. So we have a special brand of garbage. It was like you made surf and turf the night before, forgot you put the styrofoam cartons in there, went on vacation and came back. I felt like Frank, the temperature that I got from a lot of Twitter was whenever Frank's signing happened, there were two things that he had an uphill battle with. One, Crystal Palace and Inter Milan 10 years, which to me I was ready to write off because I felt like he wasn't given a fair shake. I mean, yeah, I mean, the coaching carousel in EPL is comical because of what happens. Especially the team like Crystal Palace. Come on, you're shit anyway, and like you're gonna get rid of a manager who's trying to build something anyway.
And they're still in the Premier League,
right? Yeah, somehow. It's all Wilfred Zaha wills that team to stay in the Premier League, right? I mean,
Roy Hodgson is pretty great.
Yeah.
I have to give it to him. I mean,
yeah, as a Liverpool man, or as a Liverpool man or fan, I can tell you that I'm very happy that he's with.
I feel like we're getting you off track, Tim.
Yes. So part 2 of question number B.
Oh my God!
Wow.
No, for real though. So the 2 things I felt like FTB had going against him that a lot of people were putting against him, right, were his tenures, his short tenures, and then number 2, he wasn't South American or Latin American for that matter, and he was going to have an uphill climb in the locker room despite the fact that he speaks Spanish. And that's a question I have for you guys. I mean, it's all I see is speculation about South American or Latin American coaches because I want to throw Piojo into that ring or into his hat into the ring because he's a Mexican coach, right? So will the fan base be happy if it's not a Latin American manager who gets brought in? Because we have seen, as much as I hate Bruce Arena, he righted the ship and he has the Revs playing pretty well. Bob Bradley might be the best manager right now in MLS, as much as I don't like him because of his USMNT tenure. Like, Jason Kreis obviously is kind of a joke to throw out there. Granted, he did take Real Salt Lake to the MLS Cup, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. But what are you guys' thoughts? Like, is it Latin American manager or bust, Dan?
I feel like if they bring in a manager that's not Latin American, yes, this whole thing will come back up and there'll be criticism that he's not South American. Now, if he continues winning and plays in an exciting way, the fan base ain't going to care.
Yeah. I think there'd be a lot of bitching about it on Twitter, and then you get 4 games in and they win all the games and they're doing it by multiple goals, and the fans are like, oh, they forget so fast.
Oh, yeah, because it's all about perception, right? I mean, perception is reality. Frank de Boer was not the most effusive talker in press conferences, and therefore his soccer wasn't as interesting as we had been used to. So therefore, the fans are going to be on top of him about these things when it goes bad. Like, when it goes bad, like last year was great because he was winning. But when it goes bad, it's like it goes bad real quick. Like Enron stock crash quick.
Real quick, I just want to interject. Jason Kreis won MLS Cup with Real Salt Lake. Continue. Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome. You're welcome for the suggestion. Do you guys know that
he was in Orlando? We can't put too much on him.
I'm just saying, out of all the suggestions you guys have made all night, mine was the one that's actually won an MLS Cup. Just saying.
and maybe just maybe
Jason Kreis?
Maybe just maybe Jason Kreis's tenure in Orlando is proof that we keep him in Atlanta.
Agent Jason Kreis.
He drove that team into the ground. Like, he is
exactly.
Like, he should have a lot of equity with our team, right? Like, with our family.
Did you guys know that Bradley Wright Phillips went over to LAFC this year? I did not know that until just now.
I think he's what their fifth DP.
Well, I was looking because you had mentioned Bob Bradley, and I was wondering how many of LAFC's players are South American, because I think that has something to do with that narrative, right? It's like
Rossi and Atuesta and
Vela. Vela's from Mexico.
He's Latin American.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a 50-50 split between Spanish-speaking countries and English-speaking countries. So I don't think that my argument was going to carry much weight. But, I think it's less about what the fans think and more about what the players think, right? I mean, and whatever the engine behind what's going to drive you to win games is mostly South American talent. You want a coach that's be able to manage not only the players but the expectations and what system comes out of that. And so I think that's what's more important to me, regardless of where they're from. So
yeah, I think it's an interesting point. I think it's like, what caused Tata Martino's success? Was it that he's a really good coach, or is it he's a really good coach plus there was so much of the stature that came beforehand, and these players look at him and they're like,
Yeah,
This guy's
but I
for
think
real.
that
Like,
well,
you
and I
know,
think that might be the thing with
buy-in.
Tim's point. Yeah, the thing with Tim's point about Crystal Palace, right? It's like, oh, we've gone from a coach that we really respected and was renowned to a coach whose last tenure wasn't very successful. What the fuck does he know about coaching? What the fuck does he know about like not only is it what the fuck does he know about coaching, but what the fuck does he know about coaching us and what we have to offer and not even being able to communicate and try to get to some common ground here. So it was like he was fighting this weird uphill battle. So I think maybe, Tim, to your point, I think what instills some confidence in these players, if the coach is not a South American coach to cross bridge number 2, the bridge number 1 is it needs to be a coach that has managed to find some success at whatever level or whatever league they're coaching in. I think that goes without saying, that their last tenure cannot be seen as a failure. So with that said, I think Jason Kreis is out. I hate to say it, guys. I know you guys were all really excited about it, but
Brian Daniels, Birmingham City or death. I think Birmingham City chose death. But what, to your point, Brian, I read like a Paul McDonough interview. He was talking about what they were trying to do at Inter Miami, and they were saying like, well, Atlanta United was such a success, is Inter Miami going to be the same success? And he was saying that Atlanta United basically caught lightning in a bottle. We had the fan base. I mean, we had a whole ton. We had like a Patriots winning the Super Bowl 28-3 amount of good luck chains going for us. We had Tata doing a whole bunch of research by himself and then contacting the management. We had a huge fan base. We had Bobby Dodd, which turned into a huge success. We had Tata contacting Miguel Almiron and saying, hey, Cortingo, what a butchered statement.
Wow. Can you try it again? Try it one more time. Don't tell him how to say it. Let's see him struggle. Try it one more time.
It doesn't
Try
really
it one
matter.
more time. Try it one more time. I want to hear
it. So, and then we also had huge success in signing all our TAM guys and getting people like Julian Gressel, getting huge production out of Greg Garza, who was like an ambassador between the English and Spanish in the locker room, getting Darren Eales, getting Carlos Bocanegra. I mean, having the resources of Arthur Blank. I mean, getting, players like Tito Villalba signed up immediately, having
Alec
Carlos
Can.
Corona, Alec Can, exactly. having Brad Guzan able to sign on to it.
To Alec Can, and then
and of course, like our Lord and Savior Chris McCann, that was just. But there was a lot of things that happened that gave us the success so early on, and I think that there is going to have to be more patience from the fan base, even with this next manager, to realize the goals that we're trying to achieve. But I feel like because the front office has the ambition, which a lot of clubs just do not have, we can get there faster than others.
I think it's funny that we say that they have the ambition now when they hired Frank in the first place. It's kind of like, to me, that's a weird. I mean, like, it's a funny way of spinning this, because it's like, well, you hired the guy who was coming off 2 failed campaigns. I mean, granted, you could say whatever you want about the like amount of time that he got, but now you're saying he's not good enough when he had a year, like a pretty successful first year, and you can't count this year. I'm sorry. Like,
no, you can't.
You can't. And especially when you look at the roster moves, and I'm not. You can't blame them for what they had to do. I mean, Nagby wanted to leave. Gressel, they didn't want to pay him. And then the LGP one was kind of a head scratcher for me. But and then Joseph being injured, all these diminished.
Yeah, it's way more to do about the locker room than the results. It's got to be. I just don't see how you can spin it any other way than that.
I think like if there's any one person that potentially got forced out because of Frank de Boer, I think it would be LGP. I think because I feel like all the other ones left because of legitimate reasons that would have happened with any manager. But the LGP one kind of, though, to be honest with you, when he left, I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of over it anyway, because he did not have a great 2019.
Yeah, he had a lot of yellows, man.
Well, especially
Yeah,
when
there's
come
a lot of
back.
like stupid things.
Well, especially
And
to see him
and,
come back and play in the league, right? Like his whole.
He's with Inter Miami.
Yeah, I know, right? Like the whole discussion was him wanting to be back with his family and stuff, from what I remember, and then he's right back in the States. Like,
But he went to
the thing about-
Mexico.
The thing about
Yeah.
that one is, if I remember correctly, he was one of the players that was quoted or like interviewed coming out saying that they had to talk in the locker room about how they didn't like the way we were playing.
yeah,
You know, so it's like it was probably a big build up to that.
right. So if you had, we're well over time here. If you
I just wanted to point out Kevin Escobar piped in with the best comment of the night when he said, and he's been quiet, I think, all night. The trap finally caught up, and I've pinned this to the video if anybody's watching, but said, still think hiring one person that is secretly 5 people would be better. Hire Voltron. And I could not agree more. Yeah.
Agreed. So, Brian, if you could have anybody right now that's out there that's been discussed, or any characteristics about prospects or what you want to see out of the team going forward, what or who would they be?
Tata, let's get him back, guys. I mean, it's like they're not going to play a World Cup anyway, so we might as well just go for it. Let's see if we can bring him back into the fold. I mean, I think that's.
Oh, you meant because of COVID, not because you're anti.
That's what I would say.
That'd be funny though.
I think the play, right, is Darren Eales and Boca get on the phone. It's like, hey man, you know as well as we do, CDC's in our backyard. We're getting fed information. World Cup. Not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I seriously can't even think of anybody at this point. It just seems like
Jason Christ.
Everyone's signed
Christ
up.
in. Hashtag Christ in.
Ugh.
Oh, God, I really hope that doesn't happen.
I hope it doesn't happen too. I hope you didn't like will this into existence by putting it in the universe.
Yeah, it's a Talpa. It's Jesse Marsh or bust for me.
I would like Jesse Marsh. Although
Yeah,
I think
but
he comes here, you don't have the. It's like if he's successful in Europe, it's because he's still basically doing the same shit that he was doing here, which is just doing the Red Bull thing. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it works really great for them, and they don't have to pay a lot of money for it. But that's because they have the academy, you know, and they've been doing it for a long time. So we're not gonna. I don't think we'd see the same level of success with him.
Just like we're all going to see this NFL season that Tom Brady is just a system quarterback, I think Jesse Marsh is just a system coach.
Well, until he wins.
Because the Red Bulls.
No, I think as soon as – well, actually, I was going to say as soon as he goes to Leipzig and takes – when does he take over the Leipzig managerial spot?
Hasn't he already done that? I thought he was already doing it.
Is he?
Already, yeah.
Oh, is he named Leipzig
Not
manager?
Leipzig, though. Leipzig is Nagelsmann, right?
He's Salzburg, isn't he? Because Adams went to Leipzig.
I know Jesse Marsh manages Salzburg. He won. They won the title in Switzerland this year. Or in Austria. Sorry, not Switzerland. Austria. Sorry.
Wow.
But I think that he was. I thought like he was going to eventually take over the Leipzig helm. I thought that was the whole plan.
I think that's
like,
yeah.
He's going to graduate to the Leipzig seat. Yeah, but anyway, he's going to win. He'll win that title with them. You'll be sorely mistaken when Jesse Marsh beats out whoever Bayern Munich's manager is at that point.
And when Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay
Buccaneers. No Tom Brady Super Bowl.
That'd be funny though.
Sorry, Brian. I got Brian Daniels saying, "Wow, Swiss league." I'm sorry, I messed up between the Swiss and the Austrian leagues. I got young boys and grasshoppers mixed up with Basel and
Kevin knew it. He was like,
no, I guess grasshoppers and those are all Swiss teams. I don't know any Austrian teams apparently other than RB Salzburg.
All right, Brian. Thanks for jumping on with us, man. We appreciate it.
Guys.
In the meantime, where can people find you at?
Trap. That's pretty much it. I have completely gotten rid of all my social media.
Good.
Stuff,
You're better for it.
Wise
decision. Better for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks again, man.
Out there.
See you next time.
So is this it for people who are going to join us?
Yep.
Yep, that's it. Man.
So I'm going to challenge Michelle and I think the longest listener to this podcast.
Don't say it. Don't say it. She's never going to do it. She's never going to do it.
I am challenging them that they need to be on here.
She's never going to do it.
So, yeah.
Wait, can I post a link? Links won't work in the trap roller.
No, they won't. Okay.
I was going to post a StreamYard link, but it won't work anyway. Never mind. I was going to say just let it open the floodgates, but no. No, so, they're definitely not going to do it.
So I think I was listening to Extra Time the other day, and I feel like this is, I mean, Charlie Davis brought up some really good points that in all of these discussions, there are no like black players or black managers who are even being discussed. And it is, I'm assuming that it's a product of the system that top black players are not becoming coaches in a US system. Like I know we've got Patrick Vieira, we've got Thierry Henry, but players like, so the name players like Kobe Jones, Robin Fraser, Eddie Pope, Tony Sane, Carlos Amosa, Jeff Cunningham, DeMarcus Beasley, who I think will be very good, and Tim Howard. But we're hoping that they will get some of those will get the chances that they have. So then next time when all of these coaches are bringing up, it's just not a whole bunch of white guys.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I mean, to the Tim Howard point, though, isn't he owner of NPSL or are they NASL Memphis FC, right?
Yeah.
He's one of the co-owners.
Fuck Memphis. I am Birmingham Legion, Birmingham City all the way. He's a shitty keeper.
They're USL Championship. Again, you could
they are.
Give me shit about it. I don't know. I get some of those leagues mixed up. So,
right.
I'm a snob. So, yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was worth highlighting because I had not even thought about it until Charlie Davis brought it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, another example of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I'm glad we were able to do this. It's well
96 minutes into this podcast. Yeah.
I know.
All right, I got to go put my kids to bed.
What? They're not in bed yet? What is wrong with you?
Not the older ones. I know, man. I'm just a terrible father.
Everything's off the rails in COVID.
You got to go put them to sleep, Dan.
That's right. just taste a little bit of the...
A little bit of Michter's.
So, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do going forward. I don't know how this show goes on or when.
It needs to go on, though, right? We need to.
Yeah,
we need. This.
I mean, I'm planning to be back next week with all that.
Okay, yeah. So here's the deal, right? So we've got a few matches left.
I think Richard Gordon brings us. I want to see. We're gonna. I don't know what the odds are right now. Bets on Dan doing 3 weeks in a row. Yeah, I don't know. And then Brandon Scott says at least we got Dan back in the trade. All right, we're setting the line. Brian set the line at plus 180 for Dan returning 3 weeks in a row. And for those of you who don't bet, that means if you bet $100, you get $180 back. Right.
So you're going to give me $180 next time?
You're a one. What is that like? Yeah. An 18-1.
No. So next podcast, you'll give me $180. That's how it works, right?
I'm not putting $100 on it.
Okay.
Pretend dollars.
So we've got games to watch, right? Like we've got the quarterfinals currently ongoing in the tournament. Would you guys be willing to pick one of the 4 games to watch this weekend? And
absolutely. I'll take Orlando and LAFC.
Okay, that's the game.
So, okay, sounds great. So, yeah, we got...
Oh, no, I thought that was just me, and then you guys would pick a different one.
No, I want to listen to what you have to say and just sit back.
That is the most exciting one. I mean, how things have changed. I'm really looking forward to Orlando.
No, I agree. I think that's a worthy game to draw attention. And it's a Friday night game too, so it'll be a fun watch. So Orlando, LAFC, if you guys want to tune in next week, we'll be talking about that and then any news that may come out of home base between now and then. But yeah, this Friday night, we are all LAFC fans
we
and
are?
we'll be watching the Orlando City game against LAFC this Friday night. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that plan. So we'll plan on that, and we'll talk about that next week and keep it running. I mean, like I said, the tournament still runs until when's the tournament end? The 8th, the 11th, right?
Yeah.
So we can get a couple weeks out of it, at least from that standpoint, and then hopefully by then we'll know what's going to happen with the regular season.
We'll milk it.
In the meantime, Atlanta United has mentioned. I know we've talked about who the new head coach will be, but they have named the new interim head coach in the meantime, right?
Yeah.
Stephen Glass. Yeah.
Yeah. He was. Hayden Christensen played him in that movie Shattered Glass about when he was fabricating all those stories for the New Republic magazine.
So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that there is any possibility that he gets named as the...
Nope.
No. Hayden Christensen is the worst actor I've ever seen. He's not going to do anything.
Okay. Fuck you, first of all.
Number one, how dare you?
Number two, he's going to be awesome in the Kenobi series that comes out. I can't fucking wait.
No, he's not. He's going to be I don't care for you, Padme.
You're the worst.
He's terrible.
How do you... I know we found out how to boot listeners from the trap. How do you boot...
I have total control over that, and I will not do it because I agree completely. I was a Hayden Christensen apologist for the longest time because I thought that...
I was surprised he got another movie after Star Wars.
I thought George Lucas was the one who ruined those movies, but Hayden Christensen surely was the...
I hate you so much. I hate you all so much.
God, I'm having horrible deja vu about this right now.
I can't even... He's the reason...
I feel like we've talked about this before.
Episodes 1, 2, and 3.
3 was so good, though. And Jar Jar,
but it wasn't.
I still stand by Jar Jar.
3 was only good because the first 2 were so shit.
No! How dare you?
No, I dare.
All right,
I dare do it.
After the MLS is back tournament, we're going to go back and rewatch Star Wars, and then we'll be talking about that.
Sounds good. Yeah, okay. I'll do that.
That'll be round 2 for Tim and I, because we did that a couple of years back whenever The Force Awakens was about to come out.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you want to find us individually, where can they find you guys at, Dan?
You can find me at DNJMS.
And Timothy?
At Tim Herb.
Find me at The Architect. That's at _ARC1TECT. Collectively at Home Before Dark. That's before spelled B and the number 4. We'll see you back next week. We'll try to keep it fun and keep it light. Hopefully we'll have some more news for you. Either way, it should be a good time. We'll see you then. As always, be home before dark.
Put on your camo because we're going to invade this weakling lion's den.
What?
LAFC